Welcome to the fascinating world of traffic signals. Today we are responding to a few calls about multiple intersections having different issues with Wavetronix radars, Iteris cameras, and at this intersection here, it's going to be an Iteris camera issue. You can see on this one, we don't have any indication light. It's still working like it should, but I've seen it be a little tricky here or there. So I'm gonna go up to that camera inside the bucket truck and take a look myself and see if we can't get this sorted out. So let's go look at it real quick. First things first is I need to get harnessed up. Already got the top half on. Let me go ahead and kick my bottom side on real quick. All right guys, we are harnessed up, and the next step is to go ahead and get our earphones in because it's very boring in there. Need some music. Y'all understand that. Let's get up in the air. All right guys, we are currently in the bucket. Let's go ahead and take off. Pretty quick ride to this camera over here. Yes, we do work over the road. It's our job. We don't do a lane closure. Never really thought the need of it, but we are currently at said camera as possibly having the issues. So let's start taking this off, getting our Cat 5 cable out, and let's also get this back plate off so we can check the board inside of this camera. So let me go ahead and do that now. All right guys, so up here, and my connector looks just fine. Doesn't look to be anything wrong with it, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut this end off and probably take, you know, a foot or so, maybe a foot and a half off of this cable, reconnect it, and then I have a Cat 5, Cat 6 tester right here. It's a real basic one, but I like it to keep in the tech bag. I don't like all the extra fancy stuff whenever I'm trying to just troubleshoot simple stuff. So I'm gonna hook this up, one end up here, I'm gonna leave hooked up, and then I'm gonna go down to the cabinet and hook up the other end and make sure our cable is good and that it will pass. Then that will exclude the cable from being bad, and then we'll probably have an issue with the camera itself. So let me redo this end real quick and get this connector hooked up. We have a new end made up on this Cat 5 cable, and I just have it kind of hanging here with the other end of this Cat 5 tester. This end here, I'm gonna go down to the cabinet, get it hooked up to this cable, and we'll check it out, make sure it passes before we go any further with the camera. So let's get down there. I know y'all probably like the view of being in the bucket. Slander, nice and perfect. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna run over to that cabinet, get my tester hooked up to it, and see if we have an issue. Be right back. So if you are enjoying this video, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe. Let's get right back into it. All right guys, so this is the cable that's connected to that camera up in the field. Let's get it plugged into our RJ45 tester, and let's press the button. And does it pass? Yes, it does. It passed, and it is. The cable is working like it should be. So let's go back up to that camera. Let's hook it up before we take anything else apart and see if it starts working like it should down here in the cabinet. If it does, great. Maybe one of the crimps were bad. If not, then we'll further investigate the camera itself. Also, just letting y'all know what the complaint really is these lanes right here, it's actually getting held up because it's maxing out on phase 2, and you're also getting vehicles on 5, which is this northbound lane, phase 2 and 5. The left turn lane is phase 5. So people are seeing this thing cycle to this green arrow over here, going back green on the road. These lights go back green, and they're getting real impatient on the side street here, waiting for the green light, and it's influencing them to run the red light, which is not a good thing. Whew, warm tonight. Back to the bucket truck we go. Let's get back to that truck, put a little hustle into it, running across an intersection. Oh, get back up in this thing. Always remember to get harnessed in properly. Got to go around the lanyard. Let's get back up there. Let's get the camera plugged back in, and hopefully that was just the issue. was just some connectors. Let's get this thing hooked up. All right, I have my tester off the camera. Let's get back to the cabinet. Let's get it plugged back in. Let's see if it's working like it should be working or still having those issues. If it's still having the issues, we're coming back, pulling this off. I'll show you the board inside of this camera and make sure everything like that's set up and good to go on there. So let's get back to that cabinet. So the cable is good. I've moved ports around. This port starts working better when there's a different camera attached to it, so I don't believe it's a CCU itself. But we still don't have the indication light, which is what it was doing earlier and what the issue and the calls were complaining about. So let's go investigate a little bit deeper on the camera, and then we may just have to replace that camera, and then things will be working properly after that. So let's go back up to that camera real quick, check out the board on the inside. If everything looks good there, then we're probably just gonna have to replace the camera and send that one back to iTerra's for them to look into. So let's get back up there real quick. So this is what the inside of one of these cameras look like. The board that connects the camera and the radar and everything together right here, and then this sends a signal back to the cabinet through this Cat 5 cable. So nothing looks out of the normal. Everything looks like it's seated pretty well. But what I'm going to do is unland these cables here off of this Cat 5 and just make sure they're all snug and tight inside of this terminal block here. So I'm gonna do that real quick and then see if any of them were a little bit loose. And if they were, then maybe that was causing the issue. If not, then it looks like we're probably just gonna have to send this back to iTerra's and get them to look at it. We had a couple boards laying around, but I don't believe we have any for this Vector. I think we got them for different cameras and not this guy. So I don't think the boards we have are actually gonna work for this camera. So let me just check these cables, make sure they're good. If they are and it's still not working, then it looks like we may have to send this off and get an RMA on it. So I'm gonna do that now. Hey guys, so the camera's hooked back up. This is the camera giving issues. I've done a few things in the settings to hopefully trick it to just keep it working for right now, because I do not have another Vector with me at the moment to swap that camera out and then pull that one down and get it shipped off tomorrow. Probably just gonna have to do that tomorrow night. So I'm gonna leave it up in the air. Moved a couple things around on the settings so that this radar shouldn't be maxing out phase 2. Not a lot I can do with the left turn lane on phase 5. If that gets a false call, it's gonna get a false call. They're just gonna have to live with it for another day. And then hopefully I'll get that camera swapped out tomorrow and have this intersection back up and running properly. But with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get this laptop put back up, put all this stuff back up, get back in the bucket truck. We're gonna run down a few intersections south of here and check out a radar that seems to be bad there. May swap it out. We do have some more of those. So let's get moving. Let's get down to that intersection and troubleshoot that issue. We are at the next intersection, and this one seems to be a very easy fix. We had calls and complaints saying there was an issue with one of these radars. Even one of the other techs from, not gonna say any names, just came out here and said there was an issue. But everything is running just fine out here. So looks like it's solved to me. We ain't even gonna have to worry about it. I'm just gonna triple check, and I'll probably just drive around each one of these approaches, make sure everything's getting a green like it should be, and then I'm gonna call this one good. Even though I've already watched multiple approaches and everybody was getting the light they should get. So pretty simple, pretty easy fix. No issue at all. Complaints? Maybe they were trying to say a different intersection and said this one by accident. I don't know. But either or, looks like everything worked out here great. And as always, thanks for watching.